3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Wise Take DFS podcast. I'm your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined once again by Paulie D, aka Paulie 8 Ds. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie D. That's 8 Ds. Paulie, how we doing tonight, man?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Not bad, man. Just kicking it. It was funny. I tweeted that little text that we had earlier. I thought it was pretty funny with the with the whole let's see what happens when you call somebody a bitch. I thought that was it was like the perfect timing of the day, and that
worked out. It worked out.
Yeah.
Upton doubled right away. Then he stole a base. Like, I don't know how often Upton steals third base, but he did it then. He was pissed off.
Oh yeah, and even the funniest part about it was probably after your response afterwards. I thought that was good. Like, all right, let's see what this bitch Nolan Arenado can do.
Yeah, he didn't do anything though. So
yeah, that
I don't think I was pushing it too much there. It's gotta be organic.
It's gotta be an organic. Yeah, you can't just call him a bitch because it worked previously. It's gotta be like gotta come from like within. That's how you feel. Like this guy is
right.
But either way, all in good fun. Anyway, man, so shout out to Patio Joe. He survived the big party. We did get confirmation, and Paulie, we got to give him props. He provided us with proof of life. Pretty much a timeline of the multiple times. So he was on it. He stayed true to his word to us, and he let us know. Definitely some of the wackiest, what's it called? Memes or gifs, whatever they were. Like, he sent us some of them some of the wackiest like things, man. It was pretty funny. But yeah, man. So hopefully he'll pop in the chat at some point and and make it a little appearance. I know he's got his hands full tonight. But overall, yeah, I think it was a pretty good weekend, man. I think shout out to Cuse, man. Apparently yet again another week his NASCAR stuff was just fire. He had some big underdog winner written up in his article, and apparently the dude won. So I got a shout out to Cuse, man. He's been tearing up that NASCAR stuff with his stat sheets and his write-ups. And not to mention he's onto that new stuff now, Paulie. He's writing those VMI articles for us now, so we get the lowdown with the weather, man.
I know, and it's been on point those data points about the weather games. People underestimate how important weather is when it comes to baseball. It's like one of the biggest things I look at.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anyway, man, you ready to hop into this? What is it? 12 games? 12 game slate?
12 games. Yep.
All right, let's see. We got Brad Peacock of the Houston Astros visiting Vincent Velasquez of the Philadelphia Phillies. What you got, Paulie?
I like both these pitchers, especially Brad Peacock. He's definitely like top 3 for me in GPPs tomorrow. The guy's having an incredible season. He's only given up like 1 or 2 home runs the entire season. Like, his home runs per 9 is 0.13. And he's always striking guys out. It's whether or not he's gonna go deep into the game. And Philly's one of the worst hitting offenses, so he's on a short list of my favorite pitchers tomorrow. Vince Velasquez, I do like, but probably wouldn't throw him tomorrow against the Houston Astros. But he's definitely a guy with strikeout upside that we should be keeping our eye on now that he's back and healthy. Bat-wise, I probably wouldn't pick on either of these guys. I'm cool with like a Houston one-off, but I think there's better spots. It is a good ballpark, so if you like somebody, I got to see like what Vincent Velasquez's weakness is. I don't know what his splits are, but Houston's hot. They're one of the best offenses, so getting a little piece of them wouldn't kill anybody. But otherwise, it's really just Brad Peacock in this game for me.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree. Brad Peacock has finally demanded everybody's respect. I think it was his last start when he was like, I forgot, it was like a slate where he was one of the clear-cut options, and he still wasn't the chalk. Like, he was like, he definitely should have been on that pitching slate, and he ended up not being, and he ended up making people pay who didn't make him. So I think that kind of like established him as like, yeah, this guy is a guy you have to look at. Like if the pitching is ever that weak, which I don't think that's the case on this slate necessarily, but like if you're ever in that situation again, we have to recognize. With that said, we know, Paulie, that he's not the only option out there. This is not the same situation. So it's a
Right.
small. And with that said, it's a small ballpark, like you mentioned. The Phillies are. They're not like listen. They can strike out a ton, but at the same time, the Galvis and these guys, and like Cesar Hernandez with the stolen bases, Nick Williams is doing pretty good. So they got some guys that can do some damage. And it's like
Yeah.
it's never a situation that you're never gonna love to play Phillies, but it's a situation where you might say, I don't know if I want to target them with a right-handed pitcher in their own ballpark. Especially coming off of where that was a big game for him with 7 innings. That was the longest he's gone all season, Peacock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So it's like we always see those guys hit those peaks, and they usually have those tough falls. So it's like
Mhm.
I'm with you, but overall from the game, I think I'm with you. It's Peacock or nothing because Vincent Velasquez he's been pretty good against righties. He's coming back from injury. We don't know what to expect, but he does have a very high K per nine. His xOBA numbers weren't that great this year, but remember he was hurt and he was kind of pitching through an injury somewhat towards the end there. So yeah, man, I'm with you. I don't really know what to expect. We're gonna have to dig in and see what kind of stuff he throws. But as of right now, like you said, the only thing that stands out in this game is Peacock.
Yep.
All right, let's see. We got Chris Smith of the Oakland A's visiting Francisco Liriano of the Toronto Blue Jays.
This is another spot with some interesting pitching, especially on DraftKings. Both these guys are very cheap. We saw Chris Smith was like the popular, not popular, but winning pairing with Kershaw last week. Actually, the same night that Peacock pitched well. And Toronto's been in just like a miserable slump. But more interesting to me is Liriano. He's like probably the cheapest guy I would consider on FanDuel, and he's definitely in consideration as an SP2 on DraftKings. I think he's like 6,200 on FanDuel, and it's against Oakland, a team that strikes out a ton and struggles versus lefties. He's definitely somebody you want to consider because on this slate we have like 4 or 5 guys like 9K or above that are probably going to take up the bulk of the ownership. So he's like a guy that you could take, yeah, 6,200 on FanDuel, and he's a guy you can take to differentiate yourself in the field and load up on bats. And you never know. Like Mariano's capable of giving you a 55-point game as long as he's on. If he's off, it's going to be a disaster. He can get you a negative 15. But in GPPs, he's like the perfect guy to take a shot on.
It's funny you say that because in my GPP, obviously you were helping me out earlier with some contest selection. I was like, okay, so had a pretty good day today. What should I do? Like, this is what I want to do. What do you think? Because like obviously,
Mm-hmm.
Paulie, you've got a lot of experience with the higher dollar and single entry, and like one thing that you've always been good at is selecting your contests. Even the way you qualified, like you pick your spots. You didn't
Yep.
chase a bunch of qualifying spots throughout the time. You picked your spots that you felt confident you could win. So I asked you. And, oh, by the way, not to mention, quick plug. Paulie and Joe do coaching sessions now, available on the site. But anyway, but yeah. So anyway, so we were talking about that, and it was funny because wait, I forgot where yeah, Liriano. So I made those dummy lineups to enter those contests we talked about, and Liriano was the pitcher that I put in there. Because I just like when I initially looked at the options, I was like, okay, I don't really like this top tier. Middle tier, okay. And I'm like, again, this is just to make a dummy lineup real quick to get an entry in. But then I came across Liriano. I was like, now that's interesting. 6'2"
Yeah.
against the A's at home. I was
Yep.
like, now that's definitely interesting.
Definitely an interesting spot. The Toronto bat's a little bit interesting, I guess. We don't know too much about this Chris Smith guy. I'm not sure what he throws. I'll look at it overnight and tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he's only had
But
like one game or something like that.
yeah, I'm not even sure how fast he throws.
Right.
But if he, we know Toronto struggles with sliders. If he's a slider ball pitcher, he'd become more interesting. But rookie pitchers can also get blown up, and maybe he's the fuse that starts this Toronto team to turn around, hit the ball. I mean, outside of Smoke, everyone else on this team's been struggling a ton lately, and they're good hitters. So like, maybe this is a spot where you get Toronto bats contrarian. I don't know. The they go on the list of consideration. We'll have to look into it a little more.
No, I think you're onto something. Like yeah, we have to we have to acknowledge that there's no cores on this slate. So we have to acknowledge that any good bat is up for chalk. Like it could be, right? But it's still there's 12 games, and there's better spots on paper. Like there's other spots that I think catch people's eyes. So I think Toronto just got embarrassed today. I don't think anybody's dying to play Toronto.
No.
I mean, they got one run off Kluber. What was it? 12, 14 strikeouts, something like that. It was like, and it's funny too, because in the chat earlier today we were talking before the slate, and there was a couple people that were saying about, like, you know, they don't want to play. They're worried about Kluber because the Toronto, they could wake up at any minute, and it's like, and so those people who did not play Kluber, if anybody didn't play Kluber and they just got burned today. And, you know, their mentality on Toronto, it's like, oh, they let me down so bad. Like they were just terrible. Like, I just don't see them going, even in a matchup against Chris Smith, where you would prefer them against a pitcher who's not established. I just don't see them going there again. You know what I'm saying?
They're definitely not going to be popular. There's a bunch of other good spots.
And look at that. I mean, Jose Batista's 3.2. He was literally 3.7 today, or so, or 3.4 at least. I mean, these prices, man, it's just like, wow. And no respect, but like not that they deserve it, but yeah, man, don't forget we got Smoke, Morales, Batista. We still got hitters here, so this is a spot where I can see people sleeping on them, and that's a great point, Paulie.
Yep.
All right, we got Kevin Gausman of the Baltimore Orioles visiting Blake Snell of the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, you know, there's a big over/under. It's already at 11, and both these pitchers have the ability to get blown up or do well, you know, another GPP kind of spot. Gausman, he's been hit or miss the last few weeks. He's either really on or, you know, gets blown up, and there's just no rhyme or reason as to why. You know, we've been on the right side of him, we've been on the wrong side of him. You know, so he's in consideration as a pitcher to pitch, but probably towards the bottom of that list. And he's probably on the pitchers to pick on list and a little bit closer to the top. But, you know, he's for like DraftKings, he's somebody you have to consider as an SP2. The guy throws upper 90s. He's got nasty stuff when he's on. He's supposed to be, you know, like a top prospect, and we've seen him pitch incredibly. And Tampa Bay can strike out with the best of them. So you definitely have to consider this guy, but I probably don't think I'm going to end up there. I probably would see myself actually picking on him. You know, Tampa Bay, if they're not striking out, they can hit for power. And, he's just been getting lit up lately. So, you know, definitely, you know, it's a tough spot right now, but I think I'm leaning towards Tampa Bay bats. With that being said, things could change. And on the other side, we got another pitcher that's, you know, supposed to be a top prospect. We saw him start off his last game pretty awesome. He had a bunch of Ks early, he was rolling, and then, you know, he ran into some trouble, walked a couple guys, and, you know, ended up not being a great start. And he struggled to go deep into games in his entire career because he's walked too many guys. His pitch count gets up, and he's young, and they don't want to, like, overuse his arm. So, you know, Baltimore bats are in play. They've been hot. They've had multiple games, over 10 runs lately. So, you know, definitely interested in some Baltimore bats as well. What do you think about this spot?
Yeah, man, I think I'm with you. I'm kind of on the fence here because these are two pitchers that they're both they were highly regarded prospects. They were highly touted. They were like, these guys are going to be good. Blake Snell, Kevin Gausman. They're supposed to be good, and they just really haven't been. Like we've seen flashes from both, but we have not seen an ounce of consistency between these two guys. And so I think it's interesting, and not to mention, we know both of these teams strike out heavy. I think Baltimore offensively, which surprisingly, Baltimore's been like the more consistently bad offense. But at the same time, like when they go off, they go off. It's a big pitcher's boost. I think this is a spot, Paulie, that I think you'll agree is this is where umps matter. Like a guy like Blake Snell, umps are gonna matter with a guy like Blake Snell, right? Like he's a guy that gets his walk rate. His walk rate's high typically, so you know it's gonna make a big difference in this game. We can go from really liking the bats on both sides to really liking the pitchers on both sides. And you know, if things depending on lineups and obviously the umpire stuff, and I know that's something that you're always big on.
This game's in Tampa, right?
Correct. Yes, it's in Tampa.
So the ballpark's, you know, pitcher friendly. Like, you know, it's it's tough right now without all that information. But Vegas is saying a pick on them. Both teams have very, very high implied totals. I think Baltimore is like the highest on the entire slate tomorrow. So, and then they've been really hot. I mean, they've gone up against good pitchers. They faced McCullers today. I mean, not all the damage was against him, but they put up 10 runs or 9 runs today. So.
Oh yeah, the important parts were against him.
Yeah, so it'd be tough for me to go with the Tampa Bay pitcher. Maybe fade Baltimore if they're going to be too chalky, but I don't think there's any way that I'll end up on Tampa's pitcher. Gausman, a little more possible for me. Pitcher's Park, if we get a pitcher's ump, and then the profiles look good, because Gausman throws a lot of cutters.
Mm-hmm.
So if Tampa struggles against the cutter, then it could come into play.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about Gausman is he's so reliant. Like that cutter is everything. If that cutter's not moving, he's getting smashed. If that cutter moves, he's getting strikeouts. So it's like with Gausman, it's tough because it really depends on if he has it or not. Like it really does. Like as in the spin rate. Does he have the spin? Does he have the movement? And that's something you don't really know until he starts throwing. So he's like the ultimate GPP pitcher, man, of all time for sure. We're real quick. We got to mention. Hughes has mentioned him too, but we have to mention Jonathan Scope. Is that what they call him?
Scope. Yeah, it's Scope.
Dude has been on fire, dude. He has been on fire. I mean, listen. I'm not saying I necessarily like him against Snell tomorrow. It is a lefty. Wink. Hint. Hint. But man, this dude has just been a beast, and now he's up at 3.7 on FanDuel. You think that's too high for him now? You think it's at that point where it's like, he's too expensive?
No, man. I mean, he's earned that price tag, and 15 RBIs last week, 15 for that dude. He hits in the heart of a good lineup. I actually like that his price is going up because maybe other people will be like, I can't pay him. Yeah, or you're close enough to Altuve, just pay up for him or something.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. That's a really good point because Altuve has also been red hot. And yeah, it's interesting. And he's playing in what, Philadelphia, Altuve?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
All right, we got Jason Hammel of the Kansas City Royals visiting Justin Verlander of the Detroit Tigers.
Man, Hamel's been pretty decent lately, so I don't know if he's a guy I want to pick on. Also, Detroit, after trading JD Martinez, I think that sends a message to the team that they're, throwing the towel in for this season. So I don't know if guys are going to be giving their full effort the rest of the way, except for like a younger guy that's trying to prove himself, like Mikey Matuk. So not that I'd really want Hammel. I just don't think he's got enough upside for GPPs. But I don't know if I'd pick on him in this spot. He tends to be a guy that people lean towards picking on. And then Verlander's really interesting to me. Like, we've seen the Royals, blowing up lately. They're in the playoff race. They're a hot team. So I don't really want to pick on them either. But Verlander, when he's on, he can strike out 10, 12 guys. And outside of this last, month, the Royals were really struggling. Their offense was terrible. We picked on them a lot. So I think there's opportunity for Verlander to put up a big score here. It's another thing where we got to do a bunch more research before we can make that call.
Yeah, what scares me about Verlander is, didn't he just have a really good game against the Royals? I'm not positive, but I feel like recently, in Kansas City, he went down there. Maybe even during this last series, maybe. But
I'll check. I know his last start was his first good one of the year. I don't know if it was against Kansas City or not.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah, it was. It was at Kansas City. He got 43 FanDuel points. He went 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. So that worries me a little bit because looking at the pitching options, and obviously we haven't gotten to everybody yet. There's a lot of people that we still have to get to. But when we look at the top of the options, it's aside from DeGrom, who's got a matchup with the Padres, there's Greinke against Atlanta, Paxton against Boston. We talked about Peacock, and then Verlander. So if people are looking for a cheaper option, I could see him being the quote unquote mid-tier chalk. Obviously he's not going to be the overall chalk because you got DeGrom, Greinke, all these guys. But the people, there's always people who are I don't want to pay up, so I'm just going to pick a guy from that mid. I feel like anybody that looks at Verlander's game logs is going to see that he just recently did well. And it's like the very
Right.
next game, he's got the same guys, and you know what I mean. That makes me a little uneasy. You know what I mean? Like it almost seems
Yeah.
like too good to be true. Oh yeah, why not? Why wouldn't I go back there? It's like a guaranteed 43 points, right? You know what I
You
mean?
know, I hear what you're saying there. I don't really love when a pitcher's facing the same team, and he did well the last time. But in terms of like chalk, there's a bunch of guys right around him. We got
Mhm.
Eduardo Rodriguez from Boston. We got Brad Peacock. We got Garrett Cole, and even James Paxton's only 4,400. Excuse me, 400 more. I don't know if guys are just gonna like single out Verlander and go there. I think
Yeah,
there's a couple attractive spots right in that same price
that
range.
is true, especially considering Peacock's only $100 more, and he's against the Phillies. So that is
Yeah.
actually a really good point. Definitely.
Would you pick on either of these guys though? Like, do you like any of these bats possibly?
No, I
Because I
think
really don't. I really don't. Like, like sure, like Sal P one off. He owns Verlander. I'm fine with that.
right.
But like I said, I'm kind of down on Detroit.
Yeah,
I think that they're going to get a couple more guys traded away between now and the trade deadline. It's a big park, and both these pitchers have been doing decent of late. And like I just think there's better spots on the slate for like a full stack. So like maybe a one off, but I might not. This game could become a pass ultimately.
oh yeah, no, 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 for sure. Uh, like you said, other than Salvador Perez, like it doesn't pop out. Like we know that they've been playing well. Now there's no cores to take the chalk off of them, and they've been hot. Not saying they're going to be chalk. I mean, like our 12 game slate, I don't think it's going to be too bad a chalk with no cores. So I don't think there is. But I'm just saying, like people have been riding them, and they've been doing well, and that's like, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? It's like now they're away from home. The weather is not nearly as hot. I'm seeing about 76 degrees. It was 99 degrees during that series with Detroit at home. So that's a
And
whole
humid.
different, yeah, and humid. That's a whole different type of situation. So I think I'm with you. I think the whole game is kind of just blah to me as of right now. I really only want Detroit, like you said, Detroit. Well, it's tough. Like listen, Detroit helped me out today. Like I'm not trying to knock them, but like I will only take Detroit going forward against bad lefties. Just because
Yeah.
like they don't, because even if they're trying half as hard, they could still get a hit. But like when you add righties in the mix, like if they're only trying half hard and you got this some righty throwing, you're more inclined for strikeouts. And I feel like they're like, yeah, any righty against Detroit, I almost am already ready to rule them out. I just like no, this team has already quit. Like they were contenders for a good run, and like they were trending off these last couple of years, and they've officially thrown in the towel. So it's like, you know what
Yep.
I mean?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised for them to trade Verlander and maybe even Miggy in the next week.
Yeah, and Miggy driving me crazy, man, because that dude, like, he's got positive regression coming. Like, he's been mashing the ball all year. He's just not getting the results. So it's kind of like we were saying about Castellanos before he finally went nuts. Miggy's another guy, man. He's mashing the ball. Like, he's constantly rated on top of the models and everything like that. It's because he's hitting it well. He's just not like
Hmm.
it's just not getting the results. So it's like it's tempting, but again, I just don't see why do it. Like there's other guys in good spots too. Why do it unless you get like an easy bad lefty? But against a guy like Hammel who's been pitching well and a righty,
Yeah.
I'm with you, man.
In a big park.
In a big
Yeah.
park,
I'm with.
yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yep.
All right, Tim Adelman of the Cincinnati Reds visiting Josh Tomlin of the Cleveland Indians.
So I wouldn't go with either of these pitchers here. The Indians really don't strike out very much, and they've haven't been like the hottest team in baseball, but they've been playing pretty solid all year. And they got a bunch of switch hitters, so you never have the platoon advantage against them. I very rarely take pitchers against Cleveland. On the other side, Adelman, I have respect for, and on the road in this park, you know, I don't know. Like I could see playing a mini stack of Cleveland, but they're probably not my favorite spot on this slate. Like as I was making like my dummy lineup, I did end up putting Lindor and Edwin in one of them. Just like shortstop is so depleted. He was like by far my favorite play at shortstop. And then I was like, they're going to be low owned and they have a 5.5 total. Maybe I should throw another guy. And then I was like, no, I got two. Let me find a value guy and make this little mini stack. So, I do have them. So they definitely are in play on offense, but they're not like my favorite spot by any means. And on the other side, Josh Tomlin gives up the long ball. Cincinnati's only applied for 4 runs here, so probably it's 1 off or nothing for me on the red side as well.
Yeah, man, I think that's a great point. And like me and you talk about it. Me and you play the Reds all the time, and Joe too. Like we
Yeah,
like the Reds. We respect their offense. Like as some of my old friends would put it, we respect their gangster. You know what I'm saying? That's how my friends when I was growing up. That's what they used to say. We respect his gangster. That's how we used to put it. But like you said, Josh Tomlin, I love to pick on him. Once Josh Tomlin is out and you get the Cleveland bullpen, not so much. Especially not in this
yep,
ballpark. It's not like they're playing in Cincinnati, they're playing in Cleveland. So those are all great points. Vegas is
yeah.
predicting the Reds, who have been playing fairly well, 4.1 against Tomlin. I'm going to trust them on
Yep.
this. I'm going to trust them. Um, uh,
Also, looks like this game is postponed possibility.
oh,
There's a
really?
lot of
Is the
rain
weather bad?
predicted. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so it might not even that might make our decision even easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't get me wrong, the Indians are always in play. Like I don't mind, their 5.5 is pretty good. So like they're always in play, and like they're a team like they'll get it done. But like for the Reds, like what's the value playing the Reds with a downgraded park when they normally play in one of the best hitting parks in the league? And then there's a solid bullpen behind Tomlin. So I'm with you. I think one off is perfectly fine for one of their big power bats, like maybe Duval or Votto, like one of these guys, or even Cozart if you're stuck at shortstop. But I think a full stack is going. I personally am not comfortable with that as of now.
Yeah, me either. I agree.
All right, let's see. We got Adam Connolly, the lefty from the Miami Marlins, visiting Martin Perez, the lefty from the Texas Rangers.
I like this game for bats. I would not pitch either of these pitchers, and I could do a game stack here. I like Beltre, Napoli, Odor hit 2 bombs today. Elvis Andrews. When the Rangers are at home in 90-degree weather, you definitely got to pay attention. They got a 6-run implied total. This could end up actually being like a chalky spot for offenses, but it might be the right spot. And then Martin Perez against the Marlins. I mean, Stanton's just been on fire. He cooled off a little this weekend. He really didn't do too much against the Reds in that series. So, tomorrow will be interesting to see like what his projected ownership is. Like, a Marlins stack without Stanton could be a really contrarian approach to this. But we've seen other guys on their team kind of going off. D. Gordon's been stealing bases every time he gets on, like second and third in 2 pitches. We saw JT Realmuto hit a bunch of home runs the other day. We've seen Justin Bour be hot lately, and that's a definite way to get different if this is going to be a chalky spot and you still want to go there. But that being said, Giancarlo could hit 2 home runs as well against Martin Perez. So definitely a spot we want offense from. And as we get into tomorrow, we'll fine tune that a bit and see who we like. But that's definitely a spot for offense, both these teams.
Oh yeah, man. I love both offenses here. We've seen and you make a great point. Like the thing about Texas is like, and Miami both is like their whole lineup is dynamic. Like their whole lineup could just kind of go off. Like even this kid Tyler Moore, assuming he might get the nod at first base over Bohr, just there's a lefty, so it could happen. We've seen this guy hit. I think he's had a double dong game already. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
both of these teams have just immense power. I mean, and it's gonna be real hot. I think it's gonna be like 100. It's Texas. It's gonna be like 100 degrees. So, like literally. So it's like, yeah, man, this is definitely a place that we want some offense. Both have bad bullpens. Yeah, Q's mentioned that Napoli has been crushing. Yes, Napoli has been mashing. Pretty much this whole, both of these teams for the most part have been. So, I'm with you on Giancarlo. On the other side, Beltre, Napoli, Lucroy and Gomez, like Paul, like you were mentioning, don't leave those guys out. Chirinos could play. So like Lucroy's having a very bad year. He's like 2.2. He's interesting, batting 8, maybe batting 7.
Yeah, and he used to be a lefty masher, so
Yeah,
like this is a good spot to grab him.
yeah,
And like don't leave out the lefties. Both these pitchers probably won't go deep. Neither of
yes,
these bullpens are really that good,
yes,
and that's a way to be contrarian in a chalky spot as well. Like
absolutely.
guys may skip like Nomar Mazara, and he can definitely get a hit off Conley, and he'll probably end up getting only 2 at bats against him, and then 2 or 3 against the bullpen. So don't worry about splits tomorrow. Just play the guys that you like the most.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It looks like Joey's in the chat and he's asking, do we think we can get Paulie to shave for the live final?
I'm gonna shave tomorrow, bro.
There you go, Joey. Just
So
for
yes,
you.
the answer is yes.
What was that hashtag? Was it hashtag do it for Joe or something like that?
I don't know.
I
Do it for patio.
Do it for patio?
That's
Is that
right.
what it was?
Yep.
It was,
Yep.
it was a movement. It was fun for a little bit
Yeah, patio movement. It was a movement.
It was a movement. Yeah. There was a lot of movement going on. Hashtag proof of life. Yes, Cuse. Oh, Joey's coming back at you, bro. Hashtag phone number. Hashtag phone number. He's coming back at you. All right. Antonio sends a tell of the Colorado Rockies visiting Mike Leake of the St. Louis Cardinals.
The Cardinals are actually my favorite spot tomorrow. It's another very, very hot ballpark tomorrow, and when the weather gets that high in St. Louis, it becomes a hitter's ballpark. And St. Louis got a ton of power here. Antonio Senzatella doesn't really strike any fear into me. Somebody I want to pick on. And, I like Matt Carpenter, Tommy Pham, Dexter Fowler, Molina. This kid, DeJong's been on fire. Even Grichuk at the bottom of the order since he came back from the minors. He's hit a bunch of home runs. I really like the Cardinals in this spot. And, they're a team that needs to get going. Otherwise, their season's over because, they've fallen into third or fourth in their own division. But they're only about 4 or 5 games out of the wild card. So, the Cardinals seem to always be in the race at the end. So I think this team's going to get hot at the end here, and I would just really love this spot against Senzatella in the hot weather, in probably a low-owned opportunity because they're in the middle or even close to towards the bottom implied total-wise. There's so many teams above 5, and they're at 4.8, and I don't see a lot of people going here, and I think it's a really good sneaky spot. On the other side, Mike Leake's been getting blown up. Neither of these pitchers you should be throwing. If you do, we have to have a long discussion about your DFS future. Mike.
The long thought out, thorough discussion.
Yeah, very thorough. But Mike Leake, you want to pick on with lefties, and Charlie Blackmon's been hot. That being said, though, I really don't like taking Colorado guys their first game out of Colorado, but they have been really, really hot lately. So they're on the list of consideration. Not a team I would stack. They were the winning team today and a few times this week. So I think they're going to be more popular than they usually are on the road. And if you look at this team's numbers, they're just terrible on the road. So they're a fade for me. But for the rest of the nation, they are in play. Especially Charlie Blackmon one-off. But it's not a spot I'll be going.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, especially because a lot of these guys did not lose. There's not really much of a discount, even though they're away from cores. Blackmon is 4.6. He was 5.1 today. That's not a significant enough discount. I think Reynolds was 3.9. He's 3.4. So there's nobody else really to pay up for that we've talked about yet. I mean, we'll talk about some in the Arizona game. Of course we'll get to Boston, but those there's not a ton of guys for people to pay up for, and so it's so it could be the Rockies.
Nolan Arenado too. Nolan Arenado's a beast.
Oh yeah, he's a beast. He's without a doubt. And listen, the Rockies, we respect the Rockies gangsta too. They're good. It's nothing. It's just like you said. It's to me, it's kind of like a loss of value. It's okay, so they were that price and they played well because they were in cores. Once they're not in cores anymore, then it's well, I'll just wait and play them when they're in course because why do I want to play them? At least their first game back, right? Let them adjust a little bit to the real world. but I do like the Cardinals a lot, and I think people have pretty much given up on this team. They're just sick of rostering them, and they're sick of okay, the Cardinals will win the game, but they'll win 3-2 or 4-1 or But once in a while, we've seen them explode. And Antonio Senzatella has a 3.42 xOBA versus righties this season, and that's kind of right up the Cardinals' alley, right? Because they only have 2 lefties really, Carpenter and Fowler.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's I think I'm with you. The Cardinals, like you said, 5 is still a great projection, but it's not as high as some of these other spots. So it's just going to go overlooked. I think you're right. I think you're 100%. I think people aren't going to roster the Cardinals as much as they should.
Yeah. It's my favorite spot right now, and
Yeah.
I don't see that changing too much. Like I'm probably gonna have a St. Louis stack as like my core tomorrow.
And dude, they're cheap too, man.
Yeah, they
Well,
really
like
are.
Pham is the only one, and like rightfully so, he's been mashing. But like Molina's having a great season. Nobody even realizes Molina's having a great season this year. Like all of a sudden, he's mashing all
Yep.
these home runs. He's doing really well. And like Gyorko, we're waiting for him to turn
DeJong,
around. DeJong, man, that guy's been just absolutely insane.
yeah,
And like you
and
said,
he's cheap.
Grichuk, people don't realize just because he bats eighth, don't sleep on that guy, man. He's good. That dude can hit. He's got
Yeah.
some power.
Yep.
All right, R.A. Dickey of the Atlanta Braves visiting Zach Greinke of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
This is an interesting spot. I've been kind of going back and forth on whether I want to play Grinky or not. Like, should I move him up? Like right now, he's like not even on my list of pitchers to pitch. But obviously, he's got to be in consideration. But I don't see any way I go that route. Atlanta's been hot. They haven't really gained any ground, but they've been trying to make this wild card. I don't think they're going to get there. I think like right at the end of this month they'll finally make some trades. They'll throw in the towel. But until they make that decision, this team's been playing well, and in a hitter's ballpark, I don't see going to Greinke. The Braves don't strike out that much, and they've just been on fire, and they've been taken out. They've been like the ace killers all season. So I'm probably not interested in Greinke. I probably won't target too many Braves hitters in my lineups, but I don't see going Greinke tomorrow. And then R.A. Dickey is interesting to me. When his knuckleball is doing well, he's been unhittable this year. He's had a bunch of good performances lately, and we saw the Diamondbacks strike out like 12 times to what's his name on Nationals the other day. So with JD Martinez out, and they've had some funky lineups. They've been doing that all year too. Called it the Death Squad lineup. Now they've got like 6 versions of that. And if you get an ugly lineup and it's not too humid, Ari Dickey could be in play here.
Yeah, man, it's tough. Like what I want to research, and it's something that like I don't think our R.A. Dickey has had to play Arizona all that often throughout his career. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see how often like what he's done when he's pitched there. Is his knuckleball gonna move? Is it not gonna move? Like I want to know. And this
Yeah.
elevation and this dry heat, like what is that knuckleball gonna do? Because listen, very small sample. Don't get me wrong, but if you look at some of the pitch types of these Arizona Diamondbacks, a lot of them can hit the knuckleball pretty well. Now every knuckleball is different.
Oh
That's the
yeah.
thing. Like that's but with the knuckleball it's hard to say because every knuckleball is different. Like no knuckleball that throws the same knuckleball. Like it's just if you think about
Uh
the way
huh.
that the ball is thrown, it's like the concept of the knuckleball. So it's like to me it's a matter of is it how what's the movement gonna do? So like if that ball's not
Right.
gonna move, if he's gonna throw a knuckler and it's just not gonna do shit, then these Arizona
Yeah.
guys are gonna
Then
tee off on him. You know what I'm saying?
sure.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the case. We have to see because R.A. Dickey's good. For all we know, the ball's like light, so that thing's going to sift all through the air. So it's like, I'm curious to
Yeah.
do some research. Q seems to think that the knuckleballer doesn't move. It won't move all that well in the dry heat. But we're going to have to dig in and see.
If it's humid, that's bad for the knuckleball pitcher. BVP wise, no one except JD Martinez has any good history against Dickey, but they're all pretty limited size.
Right.
Um, you know, but that's just, I did not know that the Diamondbacks profile well against the knuckleball. That's interesting.
But again, like the
So
thing about it is it's a really small sample because how often do
yeah,
these
it's got
guys
to
see
be tiny.
knuckleballs?
Yeah,
Like
yep. And maybe like you said, in that park, the knuckleball doesn't do well, so they're always going to look good against the knuckleball. And if that's true, then we may have to pay more attention to Arizona.
right. But I mean, I would imagine even though the Dickey's been pretty good. I would imagine the Diamondbacks are going to be one of the more popular spots in the night, just because people are falling in love with this team. They love playing them at home. They love the fact that they went and picked up JD Martinez because it seems like they're really going after it. So it's
Yep.
regardless, we can expect the Diamondbacks are not sneaky by any means. We can expect them to be fairly popular. I would say,
Yeah,
right?
but JD Martinez is still hurt, right? Like,
I
there's no
think
chance
so.
he's gonna play tomorrow.
I mean, I see a Q by
Is he
his
on the
name.
DL?
He's not on the
No, he's not
DL.
on.
I think it's like a contusion. I think he got hit in the hand, and I think they're just being cautious with him, to be honest.
Yeah. Actually, he was able to pinch hit today, so you may
Okay,
see him in the lineup tomorrow. That
right.
would definitely increase this team's popularity,
Mhm.
and it's something we got to research. It's
Yeah, because you know what?
to, to be determined.
Yeah, no, you're right though, because you can kind of see this like Drury and Owings, right? Like that's not the guys people want. Like even Pollock, people are like done with Pollock. They love playing Lamb, Peralta,
That's a
JD, and
mistake.
Goldschmidt. Those are the guys they love to play. And like Pollock, Owings, Drury, we'll do some research. But if these guys can hit the knuckleball, you could still get exposure to this game without
Yeah,
really
dude.
you know,
AJ Pollock is an absolute beast. And
yeah,
if people are coming off of him, like that's a terrible mistake. This guy can do it all. He can hit home runs. He can steal bases.
yeah.
He'll hit doubles and triples. He's a freak. He's just been hurt all year. But this is a guy that's 4K for the most part his entire career, and it's because his stats are unreal, and he can do just about anything at the top of a very potent offense in a hitter's ballpark. AJ Pollock, if he hits knuckleball, he's a candidate to be a one-off, and I expect him to have a monster rest of the year. Like he's an awesome player, and I hope people are sleeping on him.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, man. Like Peralta, Lamb. Well, it depends on if JD plays or not. Because if JD plays, then yeah, I think Pollock is the odd man out. Peralta's been
Yep.
playing well. People are looking R.A. Dickey. They don't care it's a knuckleballer, and they don't even care that R.A. Dickey actually has had reverse splits in his career. They just lefty righty. That's all they know. So Lamb, Peralta, Goldie,
Yep.
and JD. So it's like we'll see what happens. But I would imagine that they're gonna be popular. It's funny with Greinke. Like I'm not crazy about Greinke in the spot either. Don't get me wrong. Particularly because Freddie Freeman's there. He's the only reason. Just Freddie Freeman. I just don't want in this ballpark. I just don't want to go against Freddie. And
And what about like Matt Adams, dude?
and Matt
Hit a
Adams,
three-run
yeah,
bomb off the Dodgers closer today and tie
yeah,
that game up.
yeah, 100%,
Like that guy,
man.
that guy's been untouchable. Matt Adams has been awesome.
100%, 100%. So it's like, let's see the way this line moves, because I wouldn't be surprised to see Atlanta get bumped up a little bit here. They're 3.8 right now. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised to
yeah,
see
that's
them
tough.
4.2, 4.3, something like that by the time this all ends. We'll
Yep.
see.
Good point.
Eduardo Rodriguez, the lefty from the Boston Red Sox, visiting James Paxton, the lefty from the Seattle Mariners.
James Paxton is my favorite pitcher on the slate tomorrow. Unless he gets a terrible umpire, I don't see any way I come off of him. I think this kid's like crazy elite. I think a year or two from now he's going to be like 12K like in the Kershaw area. He just got dirty stuff. He throws 97, and then he throws a knuckle curve at you at 77, which is just incredibly hard to face a guy that's got that kind of speed differential. Then he's got a slider that he mixes in there in the low 80s, and he's got massive K upside. And Boston has struck out the seventh most of any team in the month of July, and nobody knows that. And then against lefties, they bring guys like Chris Young in who can add to that total. Chris Young does hit lefties well, but he's not going to touch James Paxton. He's going to strike out 2 or 3 times. And Paxton's got a shot to strike out like 10 or 11 guys here. Very sneaky. He's probably going to be the lowest owned of those good pitchers. And because guys don't want to pick on Boston, but Boston's been terrible all year. I don't know how they're in first place. I guess it's because Chris Sale and the rest of their staff is really good, but offensively they don't have power, and now they're striking out more. So I love James Paxton in the spot. I think it's going to be very sneaky. And all you really need tomorrow is like DeGrom and Greinke to bust, and he could win you the whole slate.
Yeah, man. And the thing is, they don't even necessarily have to bust. Like, if he could just match them, say
Yep.
DeGrom puts up 55 against San Diego, Paxton could very well do that against Boston.
Yeah.
We always and you make a great point. We always talk about how we don't like to talk about Boston because they don't strike out a lot. Well, lately, and you've been a big advocate of this, Paulie. Lately, they have been. Over the
Yeah.
recent since the All-Star break, they have been striking out a lot more, especially the lefties.
Yep.
because of what you mentioned.
You
Guys
know,
like Chris Young come in.
I pitched J.C. Ramirez against him the other day. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. You were
and
touting that in the chat.
I did not feel good about it, but it ended up working out. You know,
Yeah,
he went 6 innings, 7 Ks. You know, at the 6K price tag, he was awesome. He's
yeah.
probably the top point per dollar pitcher on that slate.
Oh yeah.
And if J.C. Ramirez is going to strike out 7 Red Sox, then James Paxton's going to strike out like 12.
Oh yeah,
So
oh yeah, for sure.
it's a good
He's not an average
ballpark.
pitcher. He's like he's an
Yeah,
above average strikeout pitcher. He's gonna get,
yeah,
and he pitches better at home too, to boot.
yeah.
Um,
I love the spot. Like I'm
yeah.
all in James Paxton. Anyone has any questions? The answer is James Paxton. And you know, moving along, I kind of left out the rest of this game. I actually like Eduardo Rodriguez. He's
Right.
like James Paxton light. Actually,
Yeah.
he's got massive K upside. He's just Seattle doesn't really strike out a ton. This is only his second start since coming off the DL. I don't know how deep he'll go,
Right.
and I don't see any chance he's in line for the win because Boston's going to be getting shut out. So
Yeah.
I'm off him, but he's a guy we should be looking at in the future.
Yeah, yeah, definitely somebody. I think I want to see another 1 or 2 starts before I'm willing to give Eduardo a go, but I definitely respect his gangster as well. I think
Yeah,
that,
definitely respect that.
yeah, yeah, we
He's
definitely
good. He's
respect.
really, really good.
Oh yeah, I like the kid. I just don't know if like against Seattle if I'm ready to, only because he was hurt for so long and he's only had 1 start back. But he's got nasty stuff. And like you said, it
Yeah.
also we're going into this assuming Paxton is going to, as you say, shut them out. So it's like like we want the win, more upside. But I'm with you. I think Paxton, people are gonna sleep on him. I'm not interested in any of the bats from either side because I do respect Eduardo's gangster. So real quick, Cuse he went and dug in a little bit on the Dickey thing. So Dickey says that he found some info on Dickey. He said Dickey pitched in Colorado in the minors, and apparently he hated it because his knuckleball didn't bite. This is a quote according to Cuse. He says, "It is tougher to throw at those high altitudes because there's not much humidity for the ball to kind of resist against." So I guess Dickey seems to believe that humidity helps his knuckleball. I guess it gives it the movement because there's resistance there. So I guess he's concerned that if he throws a ball instead of moving, it's just going to go straight down the pipe because there's nothing to stop it, and it's just going to go right down. So if that's the case, then we need to be aware of this of the Diamondbacks, because if that thing ain't moving, you basically have a 70-mile-an-hour meatball going right down the middle of the plate.
That's interesting. Q, send me that quote. I want to see where you got that. That really doesn't make sense, but um, I'm like really interested in all this. I want to
Oh yeah, oh
do a
yeah,
lot of research on this because it's like a spot that'll come up like 4 or 5 times a year, and if you know that XYZ is not gonna work well in this spot, and it's not like no one else knows it, it becomes like a polarizing, awesome spot that you want to take advantage of. So, if we know, like the knuckleball just doesn't work in Arizona, nobody else knows that, So it's like anytime we get a knuckleball guy in Arizona, there's a handful of guys who throw the knuckleball. We want to load up stacks against them. So that's something I want to dive into
yeah,
and become like a little expert on.
yeah, yeah. That's a great point for sure. Oh, here we go. I got a feeling Patio Joe is gonna like this spot. We got Bartolo Colon of the Minnesota Twins visiting Hyunjin Ryu, the lefty from Patio's Los Angeles Dodgers.
Well, I mean, I guess this has to be the chalk on offense.
I would
you
think.
know,
You know
right?
what?
Dodgers
Forget what we
lefties.
said about Arizona. Like,
Yeah.
forget
Anyone
what
else?
we said about them.
Yeah, I didn't even know Cologne was pitching this. I just missed it. And the one time I glanced over the slate. Wow. That's really interesting. Last time Bartolo pitched against the Yanks, the Yanks stack was a bust. It's it's interesting the Bartolo effect on a slate because the Dodgers are going to be mega popular. I mean, lefty Dodgers against righties is a good thing anyway, any righty, and against Bartolo Colon, it could be a special thing. Very rarely do I tell you not to fade the chalk, but this might be a spot where like you do just take the Dodgers, and then you got to find ways to differentiate the rest of your lineup. But this might be too good of a spot to pass up on. The entire lineup's in play.
Wow. So you're telling me that Bartolo may have gotten Paulie D on the chalk. He may have gotten it. He just might have gotten Paulie 8Ds on the chalk.
Yeah, every now and then you might need the chalk to win. I learned that from Fuego, and it's true. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of times I'm like ultra contrarian, and I'm always like, yeah, when the chalk busts, I have an easy path to the top. But the chalk's the chalk because it's good. They're a good play, and although baseball's got a ton of variance, it doesn't bust all the time. Like there are times where it's better to be on it. It's still rare for me, but every now and then I'll throw it at you like, this is chalk we shouldn't fade. And then it really comes down to how do you differentiate the rest of your lineup. You got to grab a Paxton at 4%, no matter what. You can't go to Grom with the Dodgers tomorrow because, then you're just too chalky and it's impossible to win large field tournaments that way.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go Dodgers, the rest of your lineup's got to be contrarian AF. And
Hashtag AF, just because it sounds cool.
Yeah, exactly. The kid's been saying AF all the time.
So hold on, Paulie. Paul, I'm sorry, bro. But hold up. So you know what AF means, but you don't know what a hashtag is, my man.
Dude, a pound sign, I know what a hashtag is. I just misinterpreted your text and thought you were talking about a phone line. You're like, yo, we got to think of a pound sign, and then there was like something about for like people to do something. I was like, oh, like he needs a phone number for the business in case, someone needs to call in about some issue they're having. Like that's how I interpreted it. Like,
dude, you got a phone number? Oh, we got to message you, Paul. We don't get a lot of stuff to message you on. So when we get something little, we got to run with it, bro. When we get something little, we got to run with it, bro. But I actually think as of now, and like Patio Joe's gonna be pissed when he hears me say this. As of now, I think if the Dodgers are chalk, I think you could totally fade him against Bartolo.
It's not if.
It's not. You're right. It's not an if. They will be. So like, I could see the merit in fading him, especially like I like the Diamondback spots. I like the we talked about the Cardinals already. So like, there's other options, right? So it's like
absolutely, there's definitely other options. You're definitely right, and like,
and it's hard, man. It's hard, but you know what? See, I can do it. I can do it because I was once a fan of Bartolo. He spent a lot of years on my Mets, and he did well for us. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can do it. I have no problem. I have a little soft spot for Bartolo. You know what I'm saying? So
I hear you. I mean, I recommended fading him against my Yankees last start because I thought that was going to be too chalky, and the Yanks were falling apart at that point.
Yeah.
Like they were crazy cold. Dodgers aren't crazy cold, but no, I mean for sure if they are gonna be mega chalky, and if they bust, like 40-50% of the field is going to be done. I just don't see them busting.
Right.
But yeah, like other teams could outscore them.
I heard. Now I forget who I heard this from, so I don't know how good of a source this is, but I did hear something about like this is gonna be Bartolo's last start if it doesn't go well. I heard he might retire if this start does not go well. He may retire. I heard.
No, it's true. It's true. Not he won't retire. Actually, he's gonna sign a one-day contract with the Indians and retire there. I don't know if they'll pitch him, but they probably will. They'll probably be like, all right, we're gonna let you get like one inning in relief when we have like a 20-run lead or something.
Well, yeah, when you're a good team, you could do things like that.
Yes. So, but yeah, it's true. Like if this start doesn't go well, they're probably gonna option him away. Like Minnesota's in the race. Like what are they doing with Bartolo Colon? Like they obviously are gonna make a trade.
Yeah.
Because you can't. Like I just don't understand how he's on this roster. It just makes. I mean. They have no one in the minors that's even like
they must have been
that they
desperate.
Look at.
They must have been real desperate.
Like, there's a week left in the deadline. You're like a couple games behind KC who's on fire. You really can't afford to lose games. Like it just make a trade. Like this can't go on much longer. So you're probably right. This is probably his last start. And if he gets blown up, it's definitely his last start.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, here we go. Jacob deGrom of my New York Mets visiting Clayton Richard, the lefty from the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, hold on. On that last game, though, we didn't touch on the Twins at all.
Oh, man, we didn't talk about the Twins at all. Okay. Wow, you're right. And I actually, Good call, Paulie. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
So like Hyunjin Ryu, I think this is his first start in a minute, and he can get blown up. When he's on, he's tough to hit. He can get strikeouts, but he never goes more than 5 innings ever. So yes, the Dodgers bullpen is good, but not the entire bullpen. Like seventh, eighth, and ninth innings are very good. You may get 2 innings here of some mediocre guys. And the Twins like to face lefties, so Dozier, Sano, one-offs or mini stacks is definitely in play. A guy like Eduardo Escobar is a switch hitter, and at a spot like shortstop that's really really weak, he's a number 2 hitter. So some of these guys are definitely in play tomorrow, and deserve consideration. Robbie Grossman.
Yeah, man. The Twins were the other team that helped me that helped me win. That helped me take down 100-man today. And I totally see it, man. Ryu's coming back from injury, and what we saw of him this year, he was getting shelled when we saw him earlier this year. He did not look very good, and it wasn't just like he was still getting his strikeouts, but he was getting hit pretty hard. So until he proves to us like that he's calmed down a little bit, I'm with you, man. I think it's certainly okay. I don't know if I'm confident in, and it's similar to what you said. I'm not confident necessarily in a full twin stack. Like today, I stacked him fully. I was confident. I don't know if I'd be so confident in a full stack, whereas I think I'd be more comfortable, like you said, with one-offs, with maybe a Dozier, Sano, Escobar, Grossman, one of those guys. Because, you can see one of these guys, but like you said, the bullpen is good, but not everybody's good. So that, between Ryu and that, I think you can take one. But, like, they still are good, so you don't want to stack because then you're limited on upside, right? It's not a great park anyway. It's not like you're dying to play hitters in this park, unless Bartolo's pitching. So that's a great point. Eduardo made the cash article I wrote today for Joe. He made the article. He did me good, man. He hit a home run, and his xOpen numbers versus lefties are pretty damn good. Like he's gonna be probably he's probably gonna be ranked on the model fairly high at shortstop again. And like you said, Paulie, a position that's continuously scarce every single day. He's somebody definitely worth mentioning for sure. All right, now to the Mets: DeGrom and Clayton Richard.
DeGrom and Clayton Richard. It's in San Diego, right?
Yes.
DeGrom, this is a good spot for him. He had an awesome start last time, and we've said this multiple times this year. Like, when DeGrom's coming off a good one, the guy we don't want to jump on. He's got that volatility. And on FanDuel, where he's 11K, he's 1,000 more than anybody, and significantly more dollars more than a couple other good pitchers. I don't see it. I don't see going with DeGrom, although it's a good ballpark and San Diego strikes out a ton. But I don't see him point per dollar being the best play on this slate. I think he's totally fine in cash. I think he's even fine for GPPs. But, I don't think he's going to give you an edge like some of these other guys will at cheaper prices, allowing you to get more bats. So I really don't think DeGrom is a guy that you should play tomorrow. I don't see how he, helps you win. I think he hurts you in terms of salary cap. And I don't see him having, that much better of a game over there's 7 pitchers that could match or outscore him tomorrow. So I just don't like DeGrom in that kind of setup. Coming off a great game, so he's probably going to be chalk, right? Didn't he score 65 his last start?
No, he went long, but he only got 3 strikeouts or something. I think he went a while.
Yeah. Right? You're right. The start before that, he went really well. Yeah, you're right. The last one he did bust. I faded him the last start. You're right. You are right. Still, at his price tag on FanDuel, it's a no for me.
Yeah, that's something that we hear, and I'll give you a chance to talk about the Mets bats too. But that's something that we usually hear in the chat from Godsab when Godsab's hanging down, and even that friendly bet that you and Godsab made, and that was a great bet. That was a close call. A line maker couldn't have set a better line than that. It came down to the wire. I think he was
he needed one strikeout.
One strikeout. Yeah, and he would have broke the 30. So that was just that was exciting. That was cool. This 2 guys that know the game and have the skill make a friendly wager. It's always fun. It's a good time to watch. And my point is just that from a point per dollar is something that Galsop always preaches. It's like we're not saying DeGrom is going to bust, and it's been similar situations. We've had similar slates. But Kluber today, right? You had to take Kluber. Without Kluber, you weren't winning. He put up way too many points. But like that's like a rarity. It's rare that top pitcher is going to put up 70 points. If Kluber would have put up like 45 to 50 points, then he would have still had a good right. He still had a good game to baseball standards. But there's other guys who were way cheaper that probably put that up already. So it's like with DeGrom. Do I think DeGrom's going to put up a 50 burger? Probably, yeah. Do I think he's going to get 70? No. So if he's only going to get 50, I think Paxton could probably hit 50, and he's cheaper. I think Peacock maybe could hit 50. He's cheaper. Like, I mean, hypothetically, of course. But going back to your point, there's a bunch of other pitchers that could come within that range. So it's not a matter of we think DeGrom is going to bust against them. It's not about that. It's about at his salary, what we need him to pay off that salary. Like you said, from a point per dollar perspective. We don't necessarily need him. Now, I think in cash, he's a no-brainer play. In cash games, DeGrom is no-brainer. DraftKings, he's your SP1. FanDuel, plug in DeGrom, figure out the rest. You can find some cheaper bats to work in. But in tournaments, he's going to be the chalk because he is at the top, and it's just easy to plug a good pitcher in against the Padres. It's just easy. So he's going to be.
See, like Kluber today, 50% of the field had him, and it worked.
Yeah, and they're going to do it
guys
again.
Are going to be like, I'm doing the same formula tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
he's
definitely going to be popular, and it's the wrong spot for it. Like today with Kluber, I pitched him. I made 2 teams, and I pitched Kluber, and it was because he was far and away to me the best pitcher on the slate.
There was nobody in his range. It's a different slate.
Like McCullers the only guy even close.
And he's been terrible. Look at McCullers' game. McCullers has been bad.
I know.
I know.
He hasn't done anything since he came back.
Yeah, I wrote him in the article, and I said the only reason I'm writing McCullers up is because he's going to be popular enough as an SP2. And he really wasn't, actually, and he did a horrible game. But I said I don't expect a good game from McCullers. He's been bad lately, but because I think he's going to be popular, I think you can get away with it as like a DK SP2 option. And I think the article did well overall. McCullers obviously didn't, but I expected that. Look at his game logs. He's been getting tanked. It's just the pitching was that bad. It was that bad today.
So that goes back to sometimes there's chalk that you need to win. Kluber was a great example of that today. Yeah. I clicked through 20 of the top 20 teams, the top 20 in the monster today. There was only one team that didn't have Kluber, and he was 19. The top 18 teams all had Kluber. He was 50% owned, so that makes sense. But it wasn't these one-off lineups just got there. Nobody did. So there is times where sometimes you got to be on the chalk to win.
Yeah.
But this is not that spot for DeGrom, and it just doesn't make sense, and she refused to go that way.
Yes, it seems to be I don't mind taking the chalk when the positions are scarce, because you have so much of a less margin of error. But on when you have options, then it just makes no sense to play a guy that So listen, I love DeGrom. I'm a Met fan. I'm a homer. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. I just don't, from a point per dollar perspective, I don't feel in tournaments he's going to be your best play. He's not your best. I don't think he's your best route to 200 points. I just don't.
Definitely not.
But anyway, tell me about the Mets offense against Richard. What do you think?
Yeah, they're in play. I was talking to, I don't know who I was talking to. I talk to so many people now about baseball, but somebody, about stacking, and I very, very rarely will stack in an unfavorable ballpark. I'll almost never. I actually, I don't think I've ever stacked a team in San Francisco. So San Diego's not as bad a ballpark as San Francisco. It's improved over the years. It's somewhere 18th ranked on most guys' list. So it's below average, but it's not the worst. So, a guy like Clayton Richard, who can give up the long ball, a 1 or 2 man mini stack, a one-off of a Met is totally fine here. It's lefty on lefty, though, so it's going to have to be either Cespedes, who's, dealing with a hip injury. He's still a freak and can, get hot at any moment, so he's in consideration. But, I don't see, grabbing any of, the lefties. So, it's either going to be, Cespedes or who else? You're the Mets fan. Who else would you maybe consider playing tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I think to me the Mets are another one of those one-off situations if you go there. I don't mind Conforto. The only reason is because one, he's red hot right now, and
Hmm.
two, he won't be popular because it's a lefty-lefty matchup. And once
Oh
Clayton
yeah,
leaves, then you have a bunch of righties. So like, and more importantly, he's strong enough to get it out of this big park, right? Like that's something that we always talk
yeah,
about,
yeah.
Paulie, is
No,
we're looking for strong guys.
you
Um,
want lefties, for power. Like it's like lefties have the home run advantage in this park for sure.
let's see, I didn't even realize that's a great point. So yeah, so I think Conforto's okay. I think Cespi, obviously, guys with immense power. Like Flores is a guy that I just don't think you have to go there. Like you could, he hit a walk off home run,
Oh
but he's the
yeah,
lefty
that's a good call
matcher.
though,
So like you don't
and he's
have to go
cheap.
there. Yeah, and that's the thing is like I feel like it's a contrarian way to go. Like people love paying up at third base. So once in a while, if
Hmm.
there's a lot of good third basemen at the top, I'll try to pay down just because I don't think anybody else will. Like today, it didn't work out today, but I tried to play Matt Davidson because I figured that Sano and Arenado, all these guys were at the top at third. Nobody's going to be on Davidson. I was right on nobody was on Davidson. Unfortunately, he's been ice cold. He did terrible. So
Yeah.
so it's like, but still like,
Didn't
the
Flores
mindset.
homer yesterday
Walk
off a
off.
lefty?
Yeah, walk off.
Walk
Yeah,
off.
walk off home run.
Nice, nice.
Yes, actually, it was against a righty though.
Against the
The
righty.
pitcher was a lefty, so he was starting, and we all expected it. But he hit the walk off against the bullpen.
Okay. That's interesting. He's like 2,500 if you're using Paxton, which I think you should, or Degrom, or any of those expensive pitchers. He's a great salary saver, so you can get more expensive bats in other spots. And like you said, it'll be low owned, and he's not just the home runs, but like he just mashes lefties. He could hit you two doubles.
Mhm.
At 2,600, you need like 12 points, and he's paid off his salary
Yeah.
and helped you, get where you got to go. So that's a great idea. I like that. I like Flores at 3%. And maybe he does hit that jack that he's known for, and it's an awesome play.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. And like Jeff Porch is in the chat. He mentioned like Chapman from Oakland. Yeah, exactly like that. Like it's that Chapman the other day. I think he hit a home run 2 days in a row, but it was the same situation. Today he hit one, and yesterday he hit one. It's the same situation. He's cheap, way at the bottom of the price on third base. Nobody played him because they were all paying up for third. So I tried with Davidson. I didn't hit, but Chapman was the one. He was the guy that was cheap
Yep.
in a good spot, and he was the one that hit the home run 2 days in a row. So it's just
Yep.
it's game theory. It's like, yeah, are they the guys in the best statistical standpoints? No, but their spots are decent, and game theory tells you to play these guys sometimes. So
Yeah, and
um,
like lineup construction,
lineup
like they
construction.
help you. Like they're what's the term? It's like cost based. Like them being cheap is valuable because it allows you to get somebody more expensive somewhere else. Like the
Yeah.
value of them being cheap.
Yes, you're
So
right.
like, what about like a Mets catcher? Who's been catching for the Mets lately?
Well, Darno and Rene Rivera switch off, and Darno was actually having he was expected to be a really good hitting catcher, and he just wasn't. And this year, particularly against lefties, he's actually done decent. The problem
Okay.
is we're not necessarily talking about home run upside. We're talking more so about um, like doubles and it's something. I'm concerned about the upside from the team overall. You know what I mean? I'm just concerned
Mhm.
like from a stacking standpoint. I'm just concerned.
Oh no, it's definitely not a stack. But
Right.
I'm saying like a cheap one off. That's late night hammer and it's
I
like
just don't know if it's justified. Like Darno is like 2.9 on FanDuel, and he's gonna be
oh my
batting
god,
eighth
really?
because
Hmm.
he's been hitting better. But like you're getting a park like decrease, like you're getting a down boost from a downgrade from the park, even from City Field, which is
From
already a
Mets?
pitcher's
Is
park.
it really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's not really that much of a downgrade though. It's probably like
it's not all that
part.
it's not all that much, but one thing like from a weather standpoint, it's a pretty big downgrade. It's been really hot and
Okay.
humid up here. It's only going to be about 72 degrees down there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
it's like that, and then the park's a little bit bigger. So it's like I'm just not crazy about the Mets offense, but I do think, like you said, I think one-offs are certainly in play. So Darno, Flores, Cespi,
That's
Conforto,
the
yeah,
yep.
I definitely think that there's some interest, and I don't think they'll be popular for the same reasons that we were just talking. Who likes to play batters and ballpark? Nobody.
San Diego. Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody.
All right. Garrett Cole of the Pittsburgh Pirates visiting Matt Cain of the San Francisco Giants.
See, Garrett Cole's another guy. That's definitely high on the list here. He's just straight nasty to righties. and lefties are the ones you want to pick on him with. In this park, he gets a substantial boost. And the opponent, like San Fran doesn't really have anyone with power that bats lefty, so I don't think you have much risk. And then we know San Fran doesn't strike out a ton, but they will. He can get 5 to 7, and if he gets a positive ump, that'll be a huge factor for me tomorrow. If he's got an above average umpire, then he'll rise to like the top three pitchers for me tomorrow, because in this park against that weak offense, it's like A plus B equals C. It's just like all the factors kind of add up, and if he gets a good umpire, then it's like everything's in his favor. He's a good candidate to put up 40, 50 points, and his team's been hitting well. Matt Cain is likely to get beat up a little bit, so he's probably be in line for the win. He's he's like 8,900. I think he's definitely a guy we should be considering here. On the other side, like again, this is a park. I would never stack a team. So, if you want to play a Pittsburgh guy or two, that's fine, but no more than two players. I like targeting Matt Cain, especially when he's on the road. So get the guys with the big power, which would be McCutchen or maybe Bell. I think Polanco's hurt, so it's either like one of those two guys, or maybe like Starlin Marte, because he'll definitely steal bases. Like he's just like he gets on and he's running now, so he could be interesting as well.
Yeah, he's running because he can't hit anymore. So when he makes it on base, he's got to make the best of it nowadays. That's just a joke. Anyway, yeah, my concern with the Pirates is that this is their first game leaving Coors. That's my concern. So you're not just leaving Coors, but you're going to probably the best pitchers park in the business. And like I finally learned my lesson picking on Kane. Like I only pick on him on the road. I do not pick on this guy at home anymore. It just doesn't work. There's just not enough upside. Even when he gets rocked, you don't like. Yeah, okay, he gets rocked, gives up 6 runs, but it's like the worst 6 runs ever. It's like sack flies and walks and like errors. And,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think for me,
like he is a bad pitcher. He does give up home runs.
Right?
Like,
Yes, he
Pirate
is.
one off is fine. Like
Yeah.
can't
Sure.
say like
I think Josh
don't,
Bell's got big power. That kid's got power. McCutchen. Yeah, there's some power. So yeah, I think one-offs are completely fine.
McCutchen's actually really interesting, because even if he doesn't homer, he could steal bags. So like he's probably an interesting play, because nobody's going to be on him, and like Matt Cain is pretty bad. Like
he's bad.
McCutchen's been hot. I don't care that he's coming from a game in Coors. Like it doesn't mean he's not gonna like get on base or hit a home run. Like as a one-off, that could be a good spot. And there's not, there's a lot of good pitchers on this slate, or like a tough ballpark. There's not like there's like four obvious offensive spots, but outside of those, there's not like a ton to like. So you get like a low owned guy who gets you a 30 spot. That could really go far on a day like tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm with you. That's it for the game by game breakdown. Real quick, Paulie, Cuse has a question for you. He's got a GPP question for Paulie. Paulie, you've talked many times about building your player pool. Do you have a certain amount of guys per position?
Depends on the size of the slate, so if it's like 7 or less, then no more than 3. And if it's like full 13 to 15 slate, you can go up to like 5, no more than that, with like the caveat of, if one position demands, like there's just 6 great guys in good spots, fine, but ultimately 3 to 5 is where you want to be. Like so if you're multi-entering tournaments, it doesn't have to be 150 lineups. It could be 20 lineups, it could be 50, whatever you're doing, right? Like to really take advantage of that, you want a tight core, and when your core goes off, you've got multiple combinations of it, and you're likely to find, 1 to 2 or 3 of your teams with a shot to actually win a tournament. So like the worst thing you can do when you're multi-entering is just play, 10% of everybody, and then, it's very hard to make that combination stick. So, you'll hear guys like the Siege or Stevie TPFL like, oh, this might be a slate that I'll script. and it's like they're looking for a slate where they like have 4 teams that they really like, and they're gonna mix and match those, So you don't really want to go like too much more than five, and like I would say like five at one or two positions and three or less at the others. You really want to like pick the best of the best spots, and then the multi-entering is about just mixing them up. Like, all right, Steve Souza and Carlos Beltran and Tommy Pham, might be the best plays tomorrow, and you're not likely to get those three guys on the same team because they're all on different teams and most guys stack. When you multi-enter, you're not really stacking. You're taking 3 to 4 at each position and letting the optimizer just blend them up for you. So no more than five really at a position, and that's on a big slate.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. I mean, you don't want to have too many people to a point where you're just confusing yourself and you're losing track.
Yeah, and it's like the worst to root for.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
oh yes, I got this guy, like he just homered, and then it's like, then like another guy homers. You're like, oh, I got him too. Oh, but they're not on the same team. Like, it's like, now I don't want that guy to homer because this team's doing well, but this guy's 20% owned, and it's like a nightmare.
Yeah, it is a nightmare. It is it's a nightmare.
It's really a spot where like, it's like a balancy kind of slate, and you particularly like, 3 to 5 spots. You're like, all right, I want to grab me some Houston, some Yankees, some Dodgers, some Mets, and like not all of them, but I'm going to take 5 to 6 or 7 players on each team. I'm going to put them in this blender. I'm going to take 2 pitchers and go with it, And then if you hit on your core, then you got multiple opportunities at a big finish. Where like when you're building one lineup, even if you get your core right, you still got to get your other 3 or 4 guys right as well. The multi-entering allows you to do that.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is like, what's your goal, right? Are you looking to min cash? If you want to min cash, then yeah, sure, just whatever.
Yeah.
But if then don't have a core, just play everybody, and maybe you'll get lucky and min cash some. Yeah. But if your goal is to actually win, that's the skill aspect of it. Anybody can just put teams into an optimizer and say spit out all these lineups. The skill comes in and actually like dissecting the plays and picking your core. Like, listen, it's very hard to pick a core correctly, but if you do, and then you make your lineups right and you hedge it right or whatever it is you're doing, you're looking at like if you finally do hit, you're gonna hit so much bigger. It's gonna be way more worth it than just chasing these min caches and playing a ridiculous pool of players. Like, you got to take a stance. Somewhere.
When the core hits, like you could have first, second, third, fourth, and fifth place for yourself. And if you like study some of the best players in the industry, I know guys don't really like Chipotle and Papa Gates, but they do that the best. They cored up the fucking Rangers 6, 7, 8 today. All of them homered. And these guys, I think like the 666 was like an 18 max, and one of them had a Royal stack, as their core, and the other one had the Ranger stack as their core. 2 best fucking cores on the slate, and they both had them, and they had like 7 out of 16 teams in the top 20 in that tournament. So like when you nail your core, not only do you have a chance to win one, but like you have a chance to win multiple lineups in the top 10. So it's the right way to approach multi-entering, and the smaller you can make your core, the more upside you truly have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's if you're in GPPs especially, like that's the good thing about cash. It's like you can be more conservative. Like you don't have to take chances. You can have diversity. You don't want to stack. You typically want exposure to a bunch of different teams, and like so you have the exposure across the board. But in tournaments, like think about it, man. You got to be bold. Like you're trying to beat a lot of people, and you're not just trying to min cash. You're trying to get to number 1. You got to be bold, and you have to take stances. You got to be willing to ride with
absolutely. That's like the most important thing is taking a stand. It's like you got to be willing to kind of go all in with your grouping of guys, and understand it might not work out once. It might not work out the first 5 times, but 10 times, 15 times, but the 16th time, it's going to pay for all those times it didn't work and then some. And you're going to be like, wow, this is awesome. And, that's how you make a lot of money in DFS.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Paul, you ready to play some Dong Watch, man?
Yeah, what are the rules today?
All right, today what we're going to do is, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to do first baseman, a third baseman, and an outfielder. That's what we're looking for.
Okay, first base, third base, outfield. What are we doing first?
First base.
First is first. Nice.
First
All right.
baseman. Price is not a ting.
Price is not a thing, man.
Not a
I like
ting.
that.
I'm on. Going to Jamaica next month. I'm excited.
I mean, I don't know how you don't pick Bellinger, but that's too easy. I'm gonna go find somebody off the beaten path for you guys, and that guy is Danny Valencia. Seattle Mariners against the Boston lefty. Home
Wow.
run tomorrow. Yeah, he
Wow.
crushes lefty,
Yeah, he does.
and
He does.
he's been really hitting a lot better. He was ice cold at the beginning of the year, and this is a rookie, not rookie, but second year guy who's just getting back from the DL. He could give up one go for ball, and Danny Valencia would be the guy to do it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we're waiting to see that positive aggression from him as well. Um,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go. This one's for Q's because he's been preaching about the guy all day, and I do happen to like him in this spot. But I'm gonna go Napoli at first base. And
yep. Mike Napoli hit the second most home runs in July of any ball player.
wow, that's incredible. I didn't realize that. And like, listen, like guys, we can just sit here and pick like the top chalky spots, but we're trying to give you guys some plays that maybe aren't gonna be like are maybe not so obvious. It just provides more value that way. So,
Yeah, it's
all
all
right,
about providing value.
that's it. All about providing value. Ciao. All right, Paulie, third baseman, bro.
Third base. Let's see. Uh, yeah, he could definitely done. He's been playing well of late. Yeah, man, there's a ton of good third basemen here.
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
This is a deep position. Um, who's pitching for Tampa Bay? Blake Snell,
Yep.
Manny Machado.
There you go. I like that call. I'm expecting to see him positively regress against lefties. I've been waiting it for a while, and we're starting to see some of it, so I'm on board with that one.
Yep.
Give me Gyorko from the Cardinals. Give him a shot.
I hear you, man. Like he's kind of been like killing me. I haven't played him too much lately, but like he was awesome last year,
Yeah,
and I
man.
like I came into this year being like Jed Jorko against righties. I'm gonna be all over that all year. He's gonna hit 40 homers this year, and the dude's just like stuck on 14. He's been there for a while.
He's been there for a
You know,
long while.
where's his last home run? July 14th, he hit one.
July 14th, so that's 10 days ago.
Yeah,
So it's been 10 days, and like, what was his last one before that? That's the question.
yeah, he hit two home runs in July. One on July 14th, and one on July 7th. And this thing only goes back to June 24th, so that's about a full month. He only had three home runs last month.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah,
not
Jet
exactly.
Jorko been killing me, and I'd love to see him catch fire the rest of the season. I like that dude.
Oh yeah.
Nobody ever played.
Oh yeah. All right, brother. Let's wrap this up with an outfielder, man.
Tommy Pham. That was
Oh
easy.
yeah, that's a good one. That was a good one. He had the quick
Yep,
response. Right, I
Tommy
wasn't expecting
Pham.
that quick response there, man.
That's right. I'll talk about him for a minute. All right. Tommy Pham. You don't have to read the article. He's the top player of the day tomorrow. He's I just love him more than anyone like ever tomorrow in this spot. Um, this guy's got double down potential. The weather's gonna be up. He's facing Antonio Senzatella, who gives up a ton of fly balls. And this guy's just been mashing the ball. He's going to be probably 1% owned. Nobody's going to be on him except for the Wise Take Nation. And we're going to win all the money with him. I'm
All
telling
the
you,
money.
this is the spot. Tommy Pham.
All the money. I'm with it, man. We both talked about how much we like the Cardinals. I'm with it. I'll go with Jose Bautista. I think he's priced pretty nicely on FanDuel at 3-2. I'm not afraid of this Chris Smith kid. They're coming back home. They just got embarrassed by Kluber, so I'm expecting Toronto to show a little bit more life today. I'll take Bautista. Hey, Paulie, man, it's always a blast doing these live shows. It seemed like the show kind of picked up like towards the end. Like in the beginning, we didn't have too many people in there, and now all of a sudden there's like 20
Yeah.
something people. So it seems like, I guess, I don't know. I guess Game of Thrones was tonight, so maybe people were late.
No, I think everybody was just like spiritually partying with Joey last night, and everyone's
everybody
just
was
hurt
hungover with
and
him, I
need the
think.
night off, you know?
Yeah, I think everybody was just hungover with Joey, and so maybe even disappointed they weren't gonna get to see him today.
Yeah, that could be it. That could be it. We should have false advertised.
We
Joey's gonna
totally
be on
should
the
have.
show.
We totally.
You know?
Next time I'm gonna get like a fat head made up, and I'm just gonna put it on the screen, like those freaking thicker things. I'll just put that behind me so that they'll see him. But hey, Paulie, I appreciate it, man. It was always fun doing these things with you, man.
Who did you pick for the outfield?
Jose Batista.
Jose Batista.
Joey
Bats.
Bats.
All right, cool.
Joey Bats.
Joey Bats. Hey. Right.
But anyway,
yeah, definitely a lot of fun. Check out the live stream tomorrow, 5:30. We're doing it.
That's it. Don't forget, check out Paulie's article for premium subscribers only. You can try a day pass, $249. You can try a week pass for $14.99, or a month. Obviously, you can subscribe monthly, which is the best value at $29.99. Also, for you podcast listeners, this is something we're only doing for the podcast listeners. If you use promo code PODCAST when signing up, you get 20% off of your membership. Whether it be the day pass, week pass, or month, you get 20% off. So that's something that only the podcast, we're not advertising that on any other platform. That's only for the podcast. You get promo code podcast. You get access to the Wise Take model for DraftKings and FanDuel. You get access to Paulie D, Patty Joe, and myself, our written articles. We have a lot of great stuff. We got NASCAR stuff from Cuse. We have WNBA projections that we offer for free, actually. So we got a bunch of great stuff. We do live streams Monday through Friday right before lock. We got a great team here, all kinds of people that are ready to help you. Our chat is always slam. We always have some great conversations going on in the chat. On slates, we don't do the videos. It'll usually be one of us in the chat to kind of talk you guys through it. So sign up, man. We appreciate it. We're trying to keep this thing going. We really care. We want you guys to be better. We want people that come into this industry. We want you to play. We want you to know, not waste the money that we wasted in the beginning trying to figure out how to play. We want you to come in here knowing that you have the help you need. We would rather you invest that money with us and let us show you how to get started. Let us show you bankroll management. Let us show you contest selection. Let us show you what to do to save you money in the long run. Because I can tell you right now, for myself, for Paulie, for Patty Joe, there was a big learning curve. And along the way, we've wasted so much money trying to figure this game out. So, hey, that's pretty much it. Sign up wisetick.com. Anyway, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We love this podcast. We love doing this. So support us. Please give us the likes buttons. If you're listening on Podbean, there it is. If you're listening on Podbean, give us a follow. If you're listening on iTunes, subscribe. Leave us some 5-star reviews. Bump us up those charts. We want to try to get the podcast out there because we love doing it and we want to keep it going. So do us that favor. Anyway, Paulie, anything to say in closing, brother?
No, man. Wise Take Nation's going strong. Couple nice scores last week. My man Slim Gady put up a 232. Wish it was in a GPP. It was in a double up, but the nation's getting stronger. I expect a lot of wins at the end of this year, and this is gonna be a good week. So let's get on it.
Let's do it. All right, for Paulie, for myself, as always, good luck.
Yeah.